Hello, dear students. Welcome to my first online lesson. I believe all of you are doing alright in these hard days of COVID 19 by the grace of Almighty Lord. This is your Simi Miss here with you to continue this online session. Today we will focus on English second paper. Before going in details, let me clear your concept about your question pattern and marks distribution. In your English second paper, you have 100 marks in total, having two parts in your question paper. In part A, you have grammar, in which you have 60 marks, 5 marks for each question. In part B, you have composition part or writing part, in which you have 40 marks. Let me clear you a little more. In part A or in grammar part, you have 12 grammatical items. They are articles, prepositions, special words and phrases, completing sentences, right form of verbs, transformation of sentences, changing the speech that is narration, pronoun reference, modifiers, using sentence connectors, synonyms and antonyms, use of punctuation marks. In part B or in writing part, you have 4 items. They are letter writing, report writing, paragraph writing and composition writing. Anyway, in this lesson, we are working on English grammar, specifically how to use articles. So you all know that article is an important topic in English grammar. Although this is a known topic, this topic is little challenging to you all because using articles incorrectly can make your sentences confusing and sound strange. So dear students, let's start. A or an and the are usually called articles. Articles are used with nouns. They qualify nouns. So you all know that a word that qualifies a noun or pronoun is called an adjective. So articles are adjectives. Now we can say that the adjectives a or an and the are called articles. Although we know some or more about articles, many of us don't know from where these articles derived. The word "an" derives from the word "one", "a" comes from the word "in", and "the" comes from the demonstrative words "this", "that", "these", and "those". So articles are of two types. They are indefinite and definite. So what is an indefinite article? A or an is called the indefinite article because it usually leaves indefinite the person or thing spoken of. That means when you are being not specific, when you are not being particular, that means you mean any person or anything, then you use the indefinite article a or an. For example, when you say a doctor, that means any doctor. When we say a teacher, which means any teacher. When we say an animal, which means any animal. That is called the definite article because it normally points out some particular person or thing. When we are being particular, when we are being specific, then we use the definite article da. For example, we say he saw the doctor, that means some particular doctor. When we say the blue pen writes well, then we mean a specific pen or a particular pen writes well. When we say I saw the girl crying, then we mean some particular girl crying. So here you have a table to make your concept a little clear. Articles are of two types. They are indefinite and definite. When thinking about article, then we must think about nouns. So nouns are of two types. They are countable nouns and uncountable nouns. Countable nouns are also two types, singular noun and plural nouns. So when we are thinking of singular and countable noun, then we use a or an. We use the with countable and uncountable nouns when we are being specific. With plural noun, we use the when we are being specific. We usually don't use a or an with plural nouns. But when we want to indicate some parts of the plural noun, then we can use the word some. Technically, some is not an article. So remember, boys, some is not an article. We will use some only to mean the parts or some parts of plural noun. Now we can say that singular noun mango, then we can say a mango or the mango. In the case of plural noun, we can say that the mangoes or some mangoes. Now we can say that I would like some mangoes, please. Here we are not being specific. But when we are being specific, then we can say that could you pass me the mangoes? So there are a lot of article rules and a lot of exceptions too. I'm not going to teach you each and every article rules. For your better understanding, I have broken this lesson down into parts. In this lesson, I will teach you some rules of using the article a or an. In the next lesson, I will teach you some rules of using the articles the. So, um, rule number 1 is about using indefinite and definite articles. So, rule 1, use indefinite article a or an when you first introduce a noun. Then use the definite article the. So, whatever the concept is, whenever you are writing or speaking, whenever you are mentioning the noun for the very first time, use the uh, definite article a or an that time. So, then use the definite article every time. That means when you are using the definite article, then be sure that the reader or the listener knows which noun you are talking about. Now let me clear this rule with a story. I saw a tuntuni bird on a brinjal tree. The tree was not very tall. The bird was afraid when it saw a cat. So the bird moved away and sat on a wall. The cat jumped on the wall to catch the bird. Finally, the bird flew up and the cat couldn't catch it. So, in this story, the nouns we tuntuni bird, brinjal tree, cat, and wall take indefinite article a only when they mentioned for the very first time. After that, we used the definite article the every time. So, this rule is about ensuring that the reader or the listener knows which specific noun you are talking about. So, rule number 2 is use a before consonant sounds, use an before vowel sounds. So, where to use a and where to use n. Here you have some examples. All of these words start with consonant sounds. So the word boy starts with b sound, girl starts with g, cat with k, tree with t, house with h, and dog with da. We say a boy, a girl, a cat, a tree, a house, a dog, and so on. In the next set of examples, we have some words start with vowel sound. So the word apple start with ice cream start with I, umbrella start with engineer start with a. So we say an apple, an ice cream, an umbrella, an engineer, and so on. So here you have some examples. So in the screen. So try to write down the answer for these exercises. Pause the video, think for a while, and write down the answers. And after writing the answers, play the video and check the answers. So here are the answers. I want to focus on number 6 to number 13 because these are a little tricky. So here you have the word university. So this word university, although this word university start with a vowel word u, this does not gives a vowel sound. We don't say university, we say university. So This university starts with U sound, which is a consonant sound. So we use A before this university. Likewise, we use A before union. We say a European boy, a utopia, a unicorn, a useful article, a unique dress, a uniform, and so on. So, dear boys, look at to these examples, number 14, 15, 16 and 17. Here we have some words start with the letter O, but here the starting sound of this letter is not O, we say one, W sound, which is a consonant sound. So we use A before these words. We say a one-legged man, a one-eyed man, a one-rupee note, a one-taka note, and so on. So in number 18 and 19, we have two examples, MBBS and MA. These two words start with the word A, M. So M start with the sound A, M, A. So this is a vowel sound, so that we use N before these words. We say N MBBS and MA. In number 22, 23 and 24, we can see some words, our, honor and air. So when we talk about our, we don't say our. Initial H is silent here. So this our is a vowel sound. So we use our before and before vowel, our, and before honor and before air. Come to rule number 3. Use A or N with countable nouns. Do not use A or N with countable nouns. So a noun, countable noun, is a noun that can be counted. Here we have some example of countable nouns in the screen. We say an egg, a cat, a teacher, an orange, and so on. So these all are example of countable nouns. When we say an egg or one egg, a cat or one cat, then this is singular noun. When we say 10 teachers, 10 oranges, then this is example of plural nouns. But uncountable nouns cannot be counted in this way. So here are some examples of uncountable nouns. They are water, sugar, coffee, milk, air, love, anger, knowledge, and so on. So we can't say a water, a sugar, a coffee, a milk, a love, an anger, and so on. So this actually doesn't make sense. We can say an egg, but we can say an water. Because water is an uncountable noun. We can say I drink water, but we can't say I have 4 waters. This doesn't make sense. So here you have some examples. So try to find out the errors of these examples. Pause the video, think for a while, and try to identify the errors. So here are the answers. Number 1 is not correct because advice is uncountable noun. We don't use A or N before uncountable nouns. So number 2 is incorrect because this question is plural noun. We don't use A or N before plural nouns. Number 3 is incorrect because pens, plural noun. We don't use A or N before plural nouns. So number 5 is incorrect because happiness is uncountable nouns. So water is also incorrect. Number 6 also incorrect because water is uncountable nouns. We don't use A or N before uncountable nouns. So number 9 also incorrect because teachers is a plural noun. So come to rule number 4 now. Use A or N to talk about a person or thing unknown to your listener. Use the to talk about a person or thing known to your listener. So this rule is about the person or thing known or unknown to the listener. In example number 1, we have Ria has two pens, a red and a blue. The red pen is quite old, but the blue is new. So whenever I'm mentioning the pens for the very first time, I'm saying that a red pen and a blue pen. Until this mentioning, the reader or the listener was not known about this fact, about these pens. So after that, I'm saying that the pen is quite old, but the blue is new. So here, when I'm saying that the red pen, then you know which pen I'm talking about. This is Ria's pen. So in the next example, you see that I planted dash apple tree in my garden last year. Dash tree has now grown big. So here I'm mentioning the apple tree for the very first time. Until this apple tree is unknown to the listener. So we have to use "an" here. We should say, I planted an apple tree in my garden last year. Now the apple tree is known to the reader or the listener. Now you can say that the tree has now grown big. Now, suppose you are in a room. So someone said that, could you open the door? Now, you know which door you are told to open. The door of that room. So here "the" is used to mean the specific or the known thing. So when we say the girl in the white dress is my sister. So the girl who is putting on the white dress is my sister. So here the girl is known to the listener. So here we use the definite article "the". Now come to rule number 5. Use "a" or "an" to talk about non-specific things or people. So whenever we are talking about not specific thing, non-specific things, then we use "a" or "an". For example, do you have a bike? Here we are referring to any bike. I just want to know whether you have bike or not. I'm not caring about some specific bike here. So when we say, do you have the bike that your brother gifted you? Here I mean some specific bike. Which bike that your brother gifted you? So here we use the definite article "the". In rule number 2, we have I want to buy a car. So here I don't mean any specific car. So just I have decided to buy a car. Now I say that I will buy a car or I want to buy a car. That means any car will be done. I didn't go to, I have no choice at all. So in the next example, you see that I want to buy the car that we chose. That means I went to market and I chose one and now I want to buy it. So here I'm talking about some specific car. When we say that if you feel sick, you should go and see a doctor. Maybe you feel sick now. I'm suggesting you to go to a doctor. Here I'm not meaning some specific doctor. You can go to any doctor. So when I say what did the doctor say? Then the doctor is known to me. Which doctor? The doctor you consulted. So that I'm asking you, what did the doctor say? So here we are meaning some specific doctor. So come to rule number 6. Use "a" or "an" to mention the category or type of person or thing. So here you have some examples or some exercises. Identify the errors. So pause the video, think for a while, and try to find out the errors. And remember that use "a" or "an" to mention the category or type of a person or thing. So here are the answers. We say, my dress is a party gown. Here we are mentioning the type of the dress. What type of the dress? My dress is a party gown. When we say that this coat can be used as a funeral coat. So what type of quote is this? This is a funeral quote. So this is referring about some specific and the type of quote. He is an intelligent boy. So here we are mentioning about the type of the boy. He is an intelligent boy. When we say that I am a doctor, here we also speaking about the type of a person. When we say she is a singer, here also we are describing about the type of the person. When we say he worked as a teacher for 2 years, here also we are mentioning about the category or type of the person. So come to the next rule. This is rule number 7. Use no article in this situation. When we are speaking about some persons, nouns, names of people or places, then we don't use article. We don't say area, a Rajib, a Jojo, or a Hitler. So in the case of common noun, this is another thing. So we don't use articles before the names of games and languages. We don't say a chess, a badminton, a golf, a cricket, a tennis, and so on. So we should not use the article before the names of games and languages. So we usually don't use article before fixed expressions. So you have some expressions here, just like at home, at work, go to bed, school, and so on. At noon, at night. So we don't use article before the days. For example, on Sunday, on Monday, and so on. So here you have some exercises similar to your board question. So here you have a paragraph about the Parliament House of Bangladesh. So in your exam, you will have the question like this: fill in the blanks in the following text with articles as necessary. Some of the blanks may not require an article. Put cross if necessary. Now, dear boys, do it by yourself. Now I am showing you how to write down the answers. At first, you have to write down the number of the question, like this: answer to the question number 1. After that, you have to write down the answers vertically. Here you have another exercise about the national flag of Bangladesh. So do it by yourself. I will provide you the answer in your next class. So here you have another exercise that is about patriotism. So do it by yourself, dear boys. I will provide you the answers in the next class. So that's all for today, dear boys. Take care, stay home, stay safe. Thanks to you all.